Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first live streaming of the Hetuvadi 2.0 podcast. I'm Sharath, and I'm going to be the host for this podcast. And thank you all for joining. And you can, right now, you are watching it on YouTube, and the same podcast will also be available on Spotify later on. So I'll get the recording and then I'll upload it to Spotify. And then we also and you can get updates and you will also be able to join the live discussion in a few minutes when I'm going to share the StreamYard link of the discussion in the live chat. So and and you can also follow me and follow this podcast on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram. And we also have a broadcast channel in Telegram where we are going to share the where I'm going to share the the StreamYard link to join live a few minutes early before we start the show itself, so that you get to be the one of the first people to enter the live studio and then talk here. And the link to the Telegram broadcast channel is given in the description of this video here, of this live stream, and it's also will be available in the in the video as well when it gets uploaded to YouTube. And all the social media handles are also links to those where you can follow for updates. They're also provided in the video description. So let's right away let's jump into today's podcast. And before I think we start the discussion today, I think because this is the live first live stream ever for this podcast. I think we should go through the ceremony of introducing myself and what this podcast is about, and then we can go into the discussion topic for today. So my name is Sharath, and I think some of you might know me from my Facebook or from the science popularizing work that I do, or some of my other podcasts. Mainly which I have done in Telugu language, and these are the Tori, the Telugu One Radio, Science Hour, and Humanist Hour, and also more recently I've also been part of regularly being part of another podcast called Talk Rationally, and where and all these podcasts are done in Telugu, and they are about bringing about the culture of science, and then improving the levels of scientific temperament, and then popularizing science, and then some amount of superstition busting, and then those kind of things that we have been talking about in this podcast. So what this podcast is about, the Hetuvadi 2.0 or 2.0, whichever country you are in, and whichever way you want to call in, is that this podcast is going to be exclusively in English, and we are going to talk about things that are useful for our everyday practical decision making. So what we want to do is that uh, we want to bring the relevance of rationality and reason and critical thinking into the decisions that we make in our everyday lives, right from uh, right from what kind of food we eat. I mean, how do we think about these things, or how about thinking about career choices, or how do we learn things, or how do we pretty much do proper financial management, or how do we vote in public life, and how do we look at something that's happening around, and these kind of things where we have to make decisions on everyday basis, or occasionally, which really impact our lives. So all these things are some things that we have to make choices on, and those choices are going to yield consequences for us, and we have to face those consequences. So we are going to talk about these things uh, you know in a way where we can make use of the art of rationality and reason to make effective decisions in everyday life, and to have a view of things that make sense, so we can make informed choices. So we don't want to going with the flow is good, but is all right, it works many times. It need not work many times too, but in many cases there are a lot of people that look to other people to copy their actions, and it's better to be the ones who are thinking for themselves and making decisions in these matters. So what we want to do as part of this podcast. So if you see, then you are an integral part of this podcast here, because it's about, we are going to talk about the relevance, the decisions that we make. So it's about the decisions that you make in your life, and it's about the decisions that I make in my life, and all of us, how we do that as individuals and as a collective too. Many times these things do come up, where we have to use critical thinking, and we can unpack and unwrap a lot of things using that. So that's what this podcast is about. All right, now that's about myself and the podcast here. And let's have a sip of coffee. Well, if you are watching from India, then it might be too late for you to have a cup of coffee. So let's not do that, and let's jump right ahead into the discussion. So before I do that, let me just share the StreamYard meeting link into the YouTube live discussion, so that whoever is watching live and would like to join can do that. All right, and we do have 9 people watching now, and yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and feel free to join the discussion in the StreamYard. So what we are going to talk about today is that recently I mean, so look, I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I was born there, but I studied in Telangana. I studied in Warangal, and most of my formative years in my life have been in Telangana. So I have an affinity for both Telugu states. I consider myself to be a Telugu person rather than someone from Andhra or Telangana. So recently, if I did not vote there because I'm not living in India right at the moment. But we saw Telangana State Assembly elections that happened like I think a couple of weeks ago, and in which the incumbent BRS government, it was called TRS before, the party that was ousted out of power, that was voted out of power, and when Congress formed government with Mr. Revant Reddy becoming the chief minister. And one of the key promises that the Congress party made as part of the election campaign was a free bus rides, free rides in RTC buses. This is the buses that are run by the Road Transport Corporation of Telangana, which is owned by the state. So which is owned by the government, the state government, and they offered free bus rides for women. Now the thing to note here is that I mean, right now, if you look at the details in which it's being implemented, they're actually offering free rides only in ordinary buses, the non-air conditioned, the buses that are not air conditioned or that are not in the luxury class. So these are the only only services in which women can take free rides in. So just to have some details here, I mean, uh, the free bus ride scheme is going to be applicable. The beneficiaries are going to be women of any age, and I think, and also also transgenders, and also children who are less than 11 years of age. So it's children of any sex, really. So it's for women and children and transgenders. It looks like only men and adult men, men, and any boys above the age of 11 are excluded here in this thing. So everyone else is going to get a free bus ride. And I don't know why. What are the prime reasons for Congress government to, for people voting for Congress government? If you look at actually the voting percentages, I mean, I'm talking about how much this promise has really translated into votes, or how much this actually was crucial for Congress to form the government. If you look at the poll results, on a whole, on an aggregate, the voting percentage was not more than a 3%. The difference in the voting percentage was not more than like 3% between BRS and Congress. So I think before we proceed further, we have two callers who have joined. So I'm just taking Raj Garu onto the stage. Hi Raj, how are you doing?
Hi Sharath, how are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, well, great thing, that you started this Hetwadi 2.0. It's another thing for some of us to, um, some of us who follow like Manohar's channels at Tanmeshi. It's another thing, another activity, to look forward to every week, I guess. Um, Especially for me, who drive like an hour every day to work one way. This is what I do. Try to listen to Manohar's channel and some other scientific channels, Pranav's and uh, so anyway, so this is a very good topic. I think I don't know. I've been tuned in such a way, by the politicians in India that this is merely just political and not really to benefit anyone. Um, and obviously, they are trying to woo this particular section of audience um, from the voters for I don't know, for next elections or something like that. Because I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Why does it have to be women? Why couldn't it be people from a certain economic umbrella, right? Why are men excluded? Um, that's my thing. I don't know what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. So you're talking about, are the beneficiaries that are going to get this scheme, do they deserve it? I mean, why not have a narrower scope for the beneficiaries that really want this service, that are really going to benefit from the public transport, from free public transportation? That's what you are suggesting, right?
Right, right, right. I mean, see, like you should take families with really lower incomes, right? People who fall under, I don't know, lower middle class or even like poor. Um, Usually, women, most of the men in those families work and they travel a lot. Sometimes, people who are especially working in rural places, they're probably traveling to nearby town for work all the
They
time.
do, yeah.
So I think it's men who can actually really benefit from this rather than women, especially from such some economic classes.
That's true. That's really true, Raj. I mean, for example, I mean, I can give a ready example. If you look at the buses in that are going that you see in Hyderabad, the city of Hyderabad, a lot of people who do footboarding are men. Women rarely do footboarding, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so men are someone who are risking their lives to go to work or to school, right? Or to
yeah, yeah.
college here.
If the bus can seat 40 people, I think another 40 people are standing in the bus.
That's true. That's really true. And we can't simply say that from the perspective of users, so that women are the only high value users here when it comes to bus rides, when it comes to
Right,
public transportation.
right,
Pretty
right,
much everyone who uses bus ride, they do value the ride a lot. And as I think, as you have pointed out, those who are, I mean, who spend a lot of share in their monthly income in transportation, they are the ones who should be thought of as high value users.
mm,
Say for example, we saw some surveys, right, I mean, of people, of where the bus riders, the women in Telangana, that we have seen this. And we have seen the same thing with Delhi Metro as well, because they are all also offering Delhi Metro, and also I think the bus services, public transportation,
right,
bus
right.
services in Metro, they're also offering free rides for women. They're also been saying that we are saving like about 1,500 to 2,000 bucks every month, and that's really good for you. Now, so which means that the high value users of public transportation, and who would really see this benefit as the largest value gain for them, are the ones who see a saving of 1,500 to 2,000 bucks as a good value saving for them. Say for example, if a software engineer or an IT employee saves 2,000 bucks every month, and who's earning like about like 1.5 lakh or 2 lakhs every month, that's not, they're not really going to see like a lot of savings in the as as a percentage of their income, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
you don't need to give free rates for them. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can
yeah,
pay.
yeah,
That's the argument, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there has to be some kind of like an identification system put in place. Just like like when we used to have bus passes. Even I had one when I was a kid. You get in the bus and you show it to the conductor, and okay, yeah, okay, so then they can recognize it. Okay, yeah, all right, you're good to go. I think something like that, if something like that can be put in place, I think it can be extended to men also, from the proper economic backgrounds.
Sure, I think that's something. I think that's a good suggestion, and let's also I think talk about how I mean, that's how it used to be, right? You said yourself that you had a bus pass, and you could categorize bus passes, or you could issue these kind of free bus passes for people after verifying their whether they deserve it or whether they are eligible or not. So something like that can be done.
Right,
So this
right,
kind of
right.
operate, yeah, can be done.
Right,
I
and,
think like,
and now that we have this other card, which has become pretty robust, which is really a good thing. Should have done long time ago, but at least now it's pretty robust. Now everything is linked to it. You can really open a bank account. I mean, you can pretty much do anything without providing your PAN card number or Aadhaar number, right? So I think that can be taken advantage and be used well in this case.
sure. I think yeah, that's a good suggestion, Raj. I think let's talk about that. I mean, I think on how what's like the cleanest way of doing it, at least plausibly. I mean, of course, we are not going to implement the system, but still, there could be some things that we can talk about in this, and what could be the best way to go about.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, sure, Raj. I think I'll just take you out of the studio, but you can but just feel free to comment if you want to chip in on and add the comment here.
yeah.
I'll just take the callers too.
Of
And I
course,
think
yes. Yeah.
Srikanth is also in this is also in the studio, but his audio device is not connected. Looks like. So can you just fix your audio device setup there, Srikanth, so that I can add you to the stage. Right.
All right, Chad, congratulations, and hope this keeps going on.
Oh, thanks, Raj, and thank you, and I hope you would continuously support the podcast and be part of the discussion. So
Yeah,
yeah,
this would
great.
be actually just before I leave. This would be very easy for me. It's 9:30 here. So I could never join Manohar's stream. It starts at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, this I really appreciate this, and especially with the time. So yeah, great going. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Sure, Raj. Yeah, all right. Thank you for joining.
Right.
And I'll just put you, I think, back in the queue then. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I'm just taking in Srikanth into the stage.
Hello. Hi, Andy.
Hi,
Hello.
Srikanth. How are you?
Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you well.
Okay. If we need to discuss about this, initial the Mahalakshmi scheme, which is announced by the Congress government, and the free RTC travel is one part of it, and 2,500 rupees per month is another part, and they are taking application for that also. And they're not. They're excluding only the IT paying people, income tax paying people. They're excluding by taking their PAN card details, and they're calculating their income, whether they have paid income tax or not. So they're already implementing the 2,500 rupees per month also. Now they're taking application in offline mode.
Oh, so you're saying you
When
got to pay 2,500 bucks to avail to be a beneficiary of Mahalakshmi scheme?
no, not 2,500 rupees paid by the government to the women.
Okay, okay. That's a pension, right? Yeah, that they're giving.
Uh,
That's the another
uh,
another campaign promise. Yeah, that they're doing it. Yeah, that's what.
Another company manage, and also they are implementing it also right now.
So this
They are taking
Mahalakshmi scheme is
applications for
more like
it.
a package, and one of the things is the
Package,
free ride bus ride, and the other thing is the pension. That
and also
like
on
the like a
gas,
basic income that they're giving to women, and
and
there is
also
like a application beneficiary process.
500 rupees for gas. It is now it was around 1,000 rupees. They're giving the gas for 500 rupees right now for
Oh yeah, they're giving a
that
subsidy on
applicants.
the gas cylinders too. Yeah.
So, subsidy on the gas cylinder also. When we talk about the directly about free bus travels, is it a development scheme or or it is merely political gain? It's simply we can say that it is a political gain only, because there are so many reliable ways which we can adopt right now, because already workers are taking the bus passes previously, as we have discussed, and also students are already having the bus passes. We can give them for free without doing any additional employment, additional work. You can directly give them a free passes. Already the system was there already. But giving the zero tickets itself, it's a big burden on the RTC and also on the government, which is not at all reliable, and also it's not. It won't create any impact on the economy or any development on the women directly. There is no correlation, direct correlation. Maybe you can say fourth stage, fifth stage, but it won't have any direct impact, and that is one of the issue. and there are total six schemes, six promises they are given by the Congress government, and this is only one of them. And it only take almost uh, Mahalakshmi scheme. I researched about it, and 27,000 crores additional budget might happen for this. I listened.
So
All
it's
three
so
of them
this
combined.
27,000 crores is just for the free bus rides, right?
No, no, no. The three is
Okay,
2,500 rupees
including
per
the
month
pensions.
subsidy, including the pension and
And how much
the
is the
free bus
annual
travel.
budget of Telangana? Is it like one lakh 20,000 crores or something like that?
It is around that,
So
and
this
it is
annual
around
you
that.
said it's like 6,000 crores, which is like what, 2% then?
Uh, it's above that, I think. I
Okay.
haven't calculated the percentage exactly about it, but I took the calculations of the national budget, but not in the state level budget. But definitely it has a huge impact. Already we are deficit in the budget. That's the reason it will definitely get into the worst stage of but I calculated all the schemes combined 66,000 rupees, 66,000 crores per year extra budget,
So
not the
it's 66,000 crores.
extra budget for all these six
Oh,
schemes.
additional budget of 66,000 crores.
Additional budget,
Okay. And
66,000 crores.
I
It
think the
is,
state budget is something like what, 1 lakh 20,000 crores or 1.5 lakh crores. Is that so, or did it come up to 2 lakh
uh,
crores?
let me tell you the real
Yeah,
figures.
but still, I think even if you say like 1 lakh 20,000 crores, then
Mm,
66,000 crores is like half of that, right?
yes, half of that.
Or is it
It's more than
6,600 crores?
no, 66,000 crores only.
Oh,
Actually, I've written out. Actually, I've taken these details from the
so
some FDR.
it could depending on whether how much the state budget is. It could be anywhere between 30 and 50% is what you're saying then.
Yes.
That's huge, right? I mean, a lot of chunk of the budget is already gone into paying salaries.
Yes, already,
It's like
already
revenue expenditure or something like that.
Raitu Bandhu already they are giving like 10,000 rupees. They are promised around 50,000 rupees per acre, and also 12,000 rupees for the agricultural labor, which are not at all the candidates not at all included in the current calculation. It is an additional also, and also 500 rupees per year extra for the paddy crop. They have given a lot of promises which are mentioned in the manifesto, and they're ready to implement it, because at least you need to do 3 to 4 promises. You need to satisfy the 3 to 4 promises. Even though they have, if they implement the 30% or the 40% of the manifesto, it is a huge burden on the, uh, it will going to be a huge burden on the government economy. But
Yeah, it is.
then
Money has to come from somewhere.
uh,
Yeah.
at
So
certain stage, we don't get any loans also. The government can't take
that's
any
true. I
loans.
mean, that's true. I mean, what do you say? I think your bond, in the credit market, it actually goes down for each, the interest that you have to pay on future loans will keep increasing. That's what happened for
Keep
AP
increase.
as well, right?
AP situation is too worst, but comparatively, Telangana have Hyderabad. That is an advantage. But if we won't take care about the rule of law, if you the total money goes to these schemes, we can't take care of the rule of law, right? That will negatively impact the city, which reduces the economy in the long run, which is a negative effect always. Positive feedback loop. So it might get into the worst condition also. It may take you to the economic emergency also. This kind of thing estimated by the reliable sources, like there is a Niti Aayog was also there. They are estimating like if you continue, the state continue to give like this, it will go to the economic emergency in the few years, after few years.
So you're talking about the priorities. I mean, you're saying
Mm,
that we do need to spend money, but
definitely.
what are the priorities here, and some amount of fiscal discipline there, right?
Uh, Actually, America has OBR, Office of Budget Responsibility, which calculate the promises cost. If the practice gives the promises, right, they calculate the promises cost of for a year, and also their projection of the 5 years, or what happened after the 5 years. So, if the public have the reliable source in front of them, if they implement this kind of schemes, how much burden will be there after 5 years? They calculate the growth also. There is a standard 3% growth, they took the growth of 3%, something like that, because it
Yeah.
depends upon the state, and also they give the results in the chart. So it will clearly visible to us whether these schemes which are promised by the government are implementable or not. It can be happen very simply, because the developed countries are doing, and also we have Niti Aayog like that, that kind of societies are there, but
So, but I do. I mean, we do have this. I mean, in the sense that you have agencies from the union government. You have institutions that are under the union government and which are the like central union government stuff that do keep track of how much spending in revenue, how much revenue spending, or how much spending in promises that states are doing, right? But this is just between the center and the state. So again, if you look at the political parties, even if right now BJP is running the union government, but even if you look at the states that are run by BJP governments, they also have a lot of welfare going on, right?
yes, they are, but in this, especially in the union government, they need to maintain certain fiscal responsibility because they have ranking system was there. IMF to get the loans from the IMF or any monetary international monetary fund, you need to maintain some type of ranking. They have inherently they have some kind of responsibility
That's
in
true.
their
I mean,
hand.
no one wants to no one wants to loan you any money if you are not going to use it wisely. In the sense that if you're not going to
Mm.
invest it, rather if you're just going to spend it on something that's not going to give you any returns, it's not a capital expenditure. No one is going to loan you money, right?
That's why you have a fiscal responsibility and budget management FRB
FRBM, right? Yeah,
active FRB already there, but they are already crossing.
yeah.
Surprisingly, Odisha like states which are poorer previously, Odisha like states are very much very much disciplined in this nature. They are below 25% only. Still, their debts are below 25% only. But in the states like especially in the southern states, freebies are extremely popular, and also they're not getting back. They are not going back. They're keep
Yes.
going forward only.
That's true. Freebies are mostly a one-way street. Once you start them, it's very difficult to roll them back. You can roll them back in certain circumstances, but those need to be like extraordinary circumstances, or you got to create extraordinary conditions for that to happen too. So if
Generally,
none of the political parties in any election campaign they promise freebies, I think then no one will expect them. But even if one of the parties thinks that it's a competitive advantage for them in an election to promise a freebie, or to promise something, then that would be then they would start giving it again. So yeah, it's like
and
it's so now obviously this giving out stuff, or giving out free services has become part of election campaigns now. So
And
which
also, people are thinking, talking about Delhi. Delhi is like it is capital, and also Delhi has definitive advantage. It is it has purely metro state, right? That's why we can't compare everything to the Delhi. Delhi has always separate budget, and the 4 to 5% are if they spend 4 to 5%, that will be huge. But
And
poor
moreover,
state
Delhi is
like
a city government. It's not really a state
city
government, right?
government,
So, I mean,
city government.
the amount of revenue expenditure or the salaries that they have to pay, which usually comprises like a big chunk of a state's budget, it's just limited to the city there for Delhi. It's not
And the
even
advantage
NCR,
is
isn't it? It's
no,
just Delhi.
no. Delhi, and also policing was not included in the state budget.
Yeah.
Policing is handled by the union now.
And you
So that's the
always
reason they
need more
don't.
police. The police are always
Mm,
understaffed. And that's the responsibility
mm.
of an actual state government, not the city government like Delhi.
Yes, these are the budget over budgeting is happen. Even we haven't started developing anything like roads. We need budget for the roads. We need budget for the basic things.
That's
For
right. Yeah, you've been talking about the priorities. I think that's an important point. Let's
priorities.
let's talk about that too. And we also have Raghu in the stage. Hi, Raghu. How are you doing?
Hi. Um, Actually, this is very good discussion because see the topic is about freebies. So I'll stick to the point only. Freebies are actually, like you said, it is one way. Once you start them, the expectation just increases. Because if you see how the AP government has increased the pensioner scheme year by year, they have been increasing.
Yes, the
Now,
pensions have been increasing, and yeah, that's true. And strangely, I heard the argument. I think it was sometime in uh, maybe I think near 2016 or 2015 that if you give us hikes, if you increase our salaries, we stop taking bribes. I think that was
no,
also
no, this doesn't happen. Economics doesn't work like that. It is not it is not unlimited amount of money can be printed or given to anybody. It does not work like that. You have limited amount of money where you have to manage things. You can do welfare activities, but it has to be targeted, and you need to give importance to development. It doesn't have to be like, like huge investments. You see, investments in infrastructure are very important actually, because that will enable citizens to to do business in a much more ease of doing business, and all these things come under that. Infrastructure and all these things will enable citizens to do a lot. But if you do not have any balance on that, now you can give freebies, but at some point your budget is going to go for tops. This will happen.
So it's like giving fish to someone rather versus teaching them how to fish or giving them a river to fish from, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, this is
it's like analogy
yeah
of revenue expenditure versus capital expenditure.
yeah, this is right. See, look, states can take this kind of freebies to an extent. Of course, they will take, because states do not have sovereignty over printing money or anything like this.
That's true. Yeah, I mean the amount of money that gets circulated in the country is really controlled by RBI. It's good that
Yeah,
states governments don't get to print their own currency or don't get to tell this is the money we need. So bankroll this project for us. They can't say that. They have to rely on debt, on loans,
yeah.
or they have to manage
So
within the budget that's given to them, right?
if you see countries like Venezuela, or if you see countries like which have entered into bankruptcy, most of them have gone because there is a huge central control over them. They do not have this system of what do you say, like we have in our country, in most of these countries. So it is mostly like a single party will rule. Either it will go like China, for example, either it will go drastically amazing and great, or it will end up in like this political chaos. Economic activities, economic policies are based on people's choices, some kind of nationalism, some kind of all these things will come into play, and freebies will
So the
also
fickle
add up into
mindedness
that.
of democracy that actually takes over. You mean to say, and
Yeah,
sense doesn't prevail, right? Especially in
yeah,
matters of economics.
yeah, it does. So what I'm saying is that either it is democratic or authoritarian, there has to be a balance in your economic approach. Development and welfare activity has to be balanced, otherwise you will end up either in too much into socialism, or you will go into too wide into this, what you people call as crony capitalism. People say that, but if you don't want to go there, you got to keep balanced approach in your economic activity or policy.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Raghu. Sure. I think let's take Purna into the stage. Hi, Purna. How are you?
Hi, Sharath. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I've been following your posts on the Facebook once in a while on the latest developments in the state and international. So your posts are very educative to some people.
Thank you.
And my understanding about the freebies is like I saw an post by Shekhar Gupta recently where he renamed the freebies. He called it as a giveaways to the people by the government. And I have an alternative view on the freebies. The concept now that the idea of whether the freebies make sense only after this recent Telangana elections, right, where Congress gave 6 guarantees. But what the previous government was doing, it was doing the same thing in a different manner, right? What I notice in India is there is no fiscally conservative party at all. Everyone is left on the economics when it comes to fiscal policy or anything else. So why are the people making more noise? I don't understand. Because all the 70 years they are doing the same thing. So what I noticed in the psyche of the people is that, right, 25 years ago, when I remember elections from 2004. At that time, people used to think the government is a savior for them. That even the freebies or whatever the money they are getting, right, they thought that government is helping them. But now that is not the scenario anymore. People think that they are entitled to that. They are not giving from their pocket, it's our money. So that's the kind of you can call it as a progress to some extent or something else, because down the line, maybe after 10, 15 years, after 3 or 4 more elections, people might be thinking more in terms of like whether these freebies make sense. But I don't think as a society we are there yet in the collective political consciousness or awareness.
So you're saying people are primed, voters are largely primed to take money from governments. I mean, to ask for benefits, for welfare benefits, rather than rather than ask for rather than having voters that ask for balanced budgets and fiscal and being
yeah.
conservative in terms of economic matters, fiscal
Right.
matters.
Our society is not there yet. We are thinking very in a sophisticated manner because it's a gradual progress, right? It takes a lot of time for a society to get there. How many people have asked that we need roads or we need water, or how many people are asking? You can count on their fingers.
People do ask them, right? But somehow in votes they don't. I mean, they don't become election issues. Don't you think
Yeah,
so? I mean, people have always been asking for jobs. I mean, for example, in 2014, Modi, Prime Minister, he became Prime Minister. I mean, one of the key issues was like promising 2 crore jobs, and obviously job creation is part of being fiscally responsible, right? I mean that
right.
fits in within those economic activities, planning.
Right. That's correct. When you say about the jobs, I agree that that's the people are asking the jobs. But I mean, when it comes to the real development, right? What is a real development? It's infrastructure, right? If you come at the grassroots levels, how many people? The people are asking, but what is the thing is that our local governments doesn't have any power. We just elect the MLAs have the power, but what MLAs are doing? They are just like they are just what do you call? They are just they they don't allow the local governments to work properly because again they lose the power. So the problem is at the local governance level,
So
which
you mean
people
at the city level,
yes, the city level
like
is
how
the
Delhi has control over city, like Delhi state government. That's pretty powerful state city government, right?
correct. That's correct. That's my argument. Like you're not fighting for the real governance at all. You're just thinking that MLA or MP or chief minister can change everything. And also this herd mentality and this idol worship of the leaders is getting only increased over the period of time. I s- I was aghast by the comments on the social media when the TRS government gone like against the KTR. If the KTR is gone, like the IT industry is down. What kind of nonsense is this?
KTR is not the god of IT, right?
Right. As if like people stop coding and they'll start coding on the slates. It's like that.
So
So
if
this kind of
Bill Gates dies, then all the Windows machines will stop working.
right. It's very. I know how that even. It's just if a guy speaks English, does it mean that he's a very knowledgeable? I don't understand this kind of a psyche of the people. I'm talking about the people who are in Hyderabad and who are well educated, not about the rural people also.
I mean, yeah, we do. We still have this, culture of, Ma Nayakudu, our leader, and all that kind of stuff. Who's going to save everyone from troubles and disasters, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not that for see. I'm when it comes to politics, I'm a bystander. But this time, told my friends and my family to vote for Congress just for the simple reason that if one single family cannot rule the entire state, and it's underlining the democratic spirit, right? This regional parties has destroyed the democratic space, but we are not talking about that point more. We are more focusing only on the freebies of the Congress. So this is where I feel that the most of the analysts who are masquerading as a fiscally conservative party, what do they talk about the family rule and all those kind of things? Yes, Congress party is not perfect. I agree that. But what? A candidate like Revant Reddy can get a chance in Congress. But can you say that his daughter or son will become the next chief minister? No, right? That is not possible. But what option you have in TRS or YSRCP or TDP? It's like another. It's like just
Even
another.
the nephew can't become the chief minister.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
Harish
That's
Rao
right.
can't become chief minister now.
Yeah. So you destroy the talent there and there. Where is the option for a normal guy like me? So and uh, and
That's a
one more
good point.
thing.
I think that's a very good point, Purna, because ideally, yeah, I think I agree that national parties are supposed to give platform for many other people to come up as leaders. I think that should be there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though I think Congress is usually associated with dynasty politics and such, I think in states there is a lot of scope. I think there are a lot of leaders that have actually arisen. I mean, take Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy for example. I mean, his father was not a I mean, his father was not. He's not a dynast, right? I mean, his
Yeah.
son later on became the chief minister because he started dynasty, but he was the first, right?
Right, right. YS Rajశేఖర Reddy was not a dynast, but he converted the local state party into a regional party. He converted a
He did.
national party into regional party. So I don't want that to take place. But I think the national parties are very conscious about this, and they don't want another Rajశేఖర Reddy to file up in the near
And if
future.
you look at it, even now, TDP is all, the main discussion point within TDP circles is who is going to be the next hire. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, who is going to be the next leader? I mean, who has the acceptance of people? I mean, who can lead the party? That's
Yeah,
not. They want
I
to
don't.
groom a hire, to become a leader.
Yeah,
That's not the good way, right? Yeah.
right, right. What I stay in the United States, right? I have a lot of TDP friends who are around. They're just talking about the next hair and next hair. Why? Come on,
And they
why?
want Balakrishna.
Yeah, Balakrishna. Why those guys? Why can't you become? What is this kind of slavish mentality? If you are thinking just of the hires becoming the political leaders, why did we come to democracy? We can just be in the feudalism, right? I don't know. Whoa, why
So
this
they want
kind?
a hire that they can vote for. Is that what they want?
Yeah, that's what. I don't know. This is like a slavish mentality, right? I mean, they didn't come out of that feudal mentality. I don't know.
Well, now, while it is true that when in at least in societies like India, it is difficult to get into highest positions of power unless you have some sort of not just social capital, but also have some sort of political network. You're connected to these kind of things. I mean, there are political families even within the United States, but as you said, when the entry barrier is so high, at least when the regional parties create those kind of entry barriers, where you can't be the chief minister or leader, head of a party. Even if you become one, you're just a puppet in the hands of some dynast. Then that's really a problem.
Right, right. I agree to that point because even when the Telangana agitation was taking place, right? I was initially not a supporter of Telangana just for the same reason that if we are on Andhra Pradesh, we have 42 seats and we have a strong national party. We have so much leverage at the central level. But again, I shifted to the support of Telangana for different reasons because of a cultural aspect or a self-respect aspect. But what I hoped at that point was if Telangana becomes an independent state, then we can get rid of TDP. Then there will be only two national parties, that is Congress and BJP. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And Telangana went into a feudal rule for the last 10 years. But I just hope that there will be like some kind of balance now, at least in the democratic spirit, because at least the ministers have some say in their departments, at least. Because see,
Yeah.
and also one more thing is that what I feel is that development with an authoritarian rule is less better than less development with a democratic political culture. If you want me to vote for, like, if you want freedom with a less development versus development with versus more development with less freedom, I'm going to vote for more freedom with less development. See,
Okay.
generally speaking, right? Take any authoritarian rule, the development will be there. I don't deny that. There will be some sort of Hitler also developed Germany to a great extent, right? But at what cost?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So yeah, I think let's talk about that too, and let's take talk rationally into the stage. Talk rationally is a podcast that's done in Telugu, and it's about it's a live podcast that is done where callers are encouraged to share their be part of the discussion, and we do talk about various topics there as well. And the same topic was actually discussed in Talk Rationally, and it actually airs on Saturdays, the same time. Hello, Govind Garu, for Talk Rationally.
Hello, hi, Sharth Garu. I really appreciate it. So, really, first of all, congratulations. We're all looking for such a platform where we can discuss various things, and not only limited to politics or it is anything like like the physics, science. I know you are multi-talented and you can give answers on the spot, like without even looking at any references. So I'm just considering you as like a walking encyclopedia kind of a person. So your analysis, we are all like it. I have one question regarding what is this Hetuvadi 2.0? Is it like a fully armed or updated version of a previous Hetuvadi, or your way of answering or attacking people is different? So is 2.0 is like some more aggressive Hetuvadi? What is this 2.0?
Well, I think the 2.0 refers to I think the practicality of rationality here. So I think that's what the update is about. I think it's just about that.
Yeah, right.
So it's going to be. I mean, we do. I mean, when it comes to social analysis or analysis, we do have a lot of people who do analysis. But the point is, I think we should be. I think what's missing and what's more important when we put everything into the frame of rationality and reason is that you should be there should be some sort of actionable thing in your analysis, in the sense that you should be able your analysis or your model in which you are thinking, that should be able to help you make some sort of decision, take some sort of decision on something. You can't say this is true and this is true too, so I'll just hang in the balance. That's not really, might not be pragmatic. So I think the amount of the I think the pragmatism and the practicality is what I think that's part of what I want to do with the 2.0.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And also, this time is really very convenient for all of us, and we're going to pile up all the questions to ask you, like at the weekend. Yeah. And the second question is that you see that what is the role of opposition in any government? I did see that yesterday, like KTR is attacking the previous, the government. When you start like Indirama government, oh, I know what is Indirama is all about, the emergency and then all those things. So why these people always looking in the rear view mirror, as Rahul Gandhi said? Why are you not talking about or discussing or contributing about the things that are happening now, and then how to utilize the budget? And also the budget, Telangana budget is around 2.9 lakhs projected, and it is around 2.7 lakhs. So 2.7 lakhs, it's a huge budget. And then
So this burden is going to be like what, 30% then, right? As Srikant
yeah, it's not serious. No scheme is around thousands of. It's only 3,000 or 2,000, something like that, and nothing is like a 66,000. I think it's huge. I think the numbers that he's getting certain things from national budget or something.
I think it's maybe he's talking about the entire package, Mahalakshmi package, rather than the bus rides.
Yeah, maybe all 6 promises and everything.
Bus rides won't be more than like 2 to 3% of
yeah, bus rides. I think
that's how it was in
3,000 crores. I think
they
are ready.
saying it's about the entire package, all the 6 campaign.
Yeah, right.
I think that number 66,000 was given by Lok Satta Jayaprakash Narayan.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's for all the 6 promises. Okay.
Yes. Annually extra 70,000 crores, or what is some kind of number he gave? Yeah. Okay. I saw his podcast.
Oh, okay. So from I think if you like assume like what 2.8 lakh crores, that comes to like what 25% or something, right? 70,000 crores will come to.
Yeah, right. But I wonder how this budget is coming. Combined state also used to not have this kind of a huge budget, right?
Yeah, obviously, I don't know if they really have. I mean, maybe Telangana has the revenue, but I mean, see, the thing is, I mean, you can read the economic survey, of India, and then you can figure out things. But it's not. I mean, the metrics that the numbers that state governments give. I mean, they should actually give be more transparent with the numbers. They should do it on quarterly basis, and what kind of planning goes behind the scenes. They should be more transparent about them. That is what I feel too.
Yeah, recently I was watching one of the book releases by eminent IAS officer Madhav Rao. If you remember, he worked as a chief secretary of the combined Andhra Pradesh state. Mr.
Kaki Madhav Rao, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a very what you call genuine person in it. So I was watching his biography being released, that ceremony or event, and in that when asked to confess about the reality of the government, he gave only one point. That is that we do fudge budget numbers. So if he's saying, because he retired in 1999, if the budget was fudged in those ages, now you can see how much it would be in current scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least a section of voters who care about these things, they should not tolerate hand waving and number fudging. Yeah, at least by state governments. Central government doesn't do that. I mean, at least for now, that's what I think. In India, you can get the numbers well, and I mean, there is like there are certain systems and institutions that actually work like by economists, and also it doesn't happen at central level, I believe. It doesn't happen. I think it's very highly likely
that there are allegations against the central government. Also, they changed the way they calculate the GDP in the last 3 years.
But it's transparent, right? I mean, if they change the formula, everyone knows now, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you manipulate something and everyone knows it, then it's okay. I think at least there
Right,
is disclosure there.
right.
I think it's about strengthening the law. I think there to improve disclosure, law and regulation. That governments should disclose these things. They should make it mandatory, like just like how with RTI, it's like pretty much like a right where someone has to disclose information. So I think even these numbers, if someone I think puts an RTI petition, they will be able to get it. But you should not do that kind of investigative journalistic effort just to get numbers. It should be readily apparent, right? That's what I
That's
think.
correct.
Yeah, Sharath, one question, Andy. So
Yeah, going on.
the in assembly, the time in assembly they spend the time. So is it not a taxpayers' money?
It is.
Correct. So in that case, so why they're wasting money in just arguing and then criticizing each other? So just like, is there any another law which comes on top of it?
I think you see if you go to a movie, I think if you watch it in a multiplex, you have to pay like what, $200, and you get to do it for free with taxpayer money in assembly, right? That's what's happening.
Exactly. That's what is happening. And also, no one is bringing a rational argument in the regarding like freebies. If other government started freebies and they're saying that why they are not contributing in effectively encourage the other governments policy, are criticizing in a rational way, so that people understand that what are the pitfalls in those schemes. So that is not, they are not doing it. And second thing is the other people, the intellectual people, so called, like who are they are in Andhra Pradesh and both the Telugu states such as the JP. I think they're not really doing their job, because they are leaning towards one party. See that their voice is changed over a period of time when you notice it. And then now that they're really covering up, or leaning towards one major party, rather than clearly giving their rational argument or adding up their intellectual value. I do see that, and I think they're not really doing their intellectual part of that. I don't really consider anyone is a real intellectual in AP right now, looking at their recent speeches.
So yeah, definitely. I think there is, yeah, there is some politicking in that sense. I mean, a lot of people who, who brand themselves as like intellectual analysts and all that, they usually talk in support of one party. I mean, tacitly that they do that. Yeah, that does happen. That is happening. Yeah.
I did see that we do better job than that an unbiased analysis doing in any party. Is it like the ruling government or opposition party? So that's what I do see that. And another second part is the freebies things. Coming to the topic, so we are not attacking in each and every. There are people who really need of some kind of support from the government, the which adds to their own budget. Like people are spending, like people who are really in need. The only problem here is how to identify those people. So you need to spend extra money in order to filter those people. There is also a cost of this freebies. It adds up to that one. So for
So you got to
example,
limit the scope of
yeah,
beneficiaries. What you're saying.
beneficiary. And second thing is, so why don't we use the identities which you already have in place, such as Aadhaar card, and why don't we use, why we need any other additional thing to do that? Like Aadhaar card is there, why don't we capture the information whatever you're looking for, to filter the people, to give the benefit like income and everything? So why not Aadhaar card is a single entity for income is that varies. The person who is poor now can become rich. That is not forever is a valid thing, but age and all, like male or female, all those things are part of that. When you're allocating the budget, you know that how many people are really getting benefited. And also, if someone is riding the bus or transportation, who know that based on the previous data, you know that who are the real people you are considering. Like the routes, some non-profitable routes in the routes are there. When you're the bus transportation, you know that can you make it free, that in those areas only the poor people are going to ride.
That's true. So you are saying we should, yeah. I think the scope needs to be narrowed down, and then it's better. I mean, if you don't waste money, if people can pay, let them pay. I mean, just give these benefits to people who to whom this adds the most value gains for them in their lives, right?
Yeah, sure. Also, sure, this one I wanted to bring something to this platform, that until unless we do see more flow, So is it okay to collect some of the questions online and then bring it to you? It may not be my questions, but someone else's questions so that you can answer it. I want to fill the gap if you don't see people are here. We'll give a priority to the people like who are joining, and then otherwise I will bring the questions from other people who cannot able to join, and then maybe I collect certain questions so that you can answer them.
Oh, sure, definitely. That would be very nice.
Yeah.
Going there, yeah, but that would be just fine. I think we are already seeing some questions. I think in the comment section here. So I think Raghu is saying, folks, there needs to be a comment on how government is selling property to fulfill freebies. So yeah, I mean, government has to fund the freebies in some way, and yeah, leasing out or selling, not leasing out really. I mean, like I think selling property is seems to be one of those measures that government is taking. I think let's talk about I mean let's talk about how governments can fund these things. I mean, rather than doing any sort of nifty business, I mean they can do some other things too. And Purnagar is asking, he's JPL libertarian. He's referring to Lok Satta Jayaprakash Narayan. I don't know if it's a libertarian or not. I think he advocates for fiscal conservatism. He does that, and I think given the context that governments are more than willing to spend whatever they have, and even are even more than motivated to get loans to spend on this. I think advocating fiscal conservatism would be like at least a balancing force there. I think in the public dialogue space. I think that's it. But I don't know what his personal economic if he has an economic ideology. I hate that word, but yeah, if he has an economic ideology. Yeah. So I think yeah, sure. So Govind, if anyone asks, if you get any of the questions as any comments to you personally, just feel free to ask them now. I'll just keep you in the stage.
One more question, and I have one more question regarding this freebies thing. Like most of the people, I do see like criticizing from the political point of view. So when some freebies are there, like at common household, like I do see a genuine questions saying that if you're freely giving something to that, so like some people are getting benefit, that's fine, but you're wasting the majority of the budget towards the people who are really do not need such a benefit. And then yeah, there is a valid argument, but the political arguments are saying that there is a competition in offering the freebies to the people, saying that if you're giving like a free bus, we will give you the free train, like free travel. You can travel anywhere, like and some people offer the pilgrimage, like saying thing like Tirupati or any places you wanted to go, and it's a free thing. What if people are coming up with those frees? Is there any control from the election commission saying that, hey, you guys are not supposed to offer this free thing in order to win the votes, like saying that certain things like you cannot beg votes based on the religion?
Yeah, I think that's
election commission come
two
up
things,
with
right? I mean, you can definitely not ask votes on the name of caste or religion.
Correct.
And I mean, but political parties do that all the time. I mean, they make speeches saying that we will get. I mean, obviously, they're careful in the sense that, I mean, they won't say that give us your vote because we represent so and so religion, but they would say something like they would use euphemisms like we would get we would we would make sure we keep the Deshdrohis in check and all that kind of stuff. So they make very inflammatory speeches. But yeah, I think that's true. At least as far as speeches go, as far as asking votes on the basis of religion or caste go, it's outlawed. But politicians, I think these days at least, we are seeing a lot of politicians and parties, getting around that by using words cleverly and then using euphemisms. I think there was an instance where a major leader, they actually did not use it, and he used armed forces. On the name of armed forces, he asked people to vote. So I think that's illegal. That's outlawed. I don't know where it would go, but we have to see if anything like that would be taken to the book. We have to see that. But I think the religious pilgrimage thing, I mean, usually you should not be doling out any schemes on the basis of religion. It should not be done in a secular country. But I'm not a legal expert on this. I don't know what the law is, and I don't know if even if it is outlawed clearly, what how these schemes are doled out. I mean, in the wording of these schemes, and if someone tried to petition it to courts and what they said, maybe I'll find out.
Yeah, sure. And also the reason I'm criticizing JP is that JP is not leaning towards anything. If you listen to his speeches, most of them are useless and there is no take-home message because he talks so generic, saying that క్షేత్ర క్షాయిల ప్రక్షాళన జరగాలి, వ్యవస్థలో మార్పులు రావాలి. So such kind of the statements which doesn't help anyone. And I do see that either he's I think he's traveling on a boat, like two boats. Something like some one side is saying that he's not against spirituality kind of a thing, and sometimes he supports irrational people kind of a thing. Uh, you see that if you give any like a chance to those people, like so what is the contribution of those people? Is it like a intellectual value they add it, or the really ground level, if you give a chance to them, like an MP, or I think he was a Kokatpalli MP, correct? Like yeah,
MLA, I
MLA,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
MLA. So what they really do, like when you they ask questions in assembly or something, do they people recognize him that yeah, he's a guy that I want to ask the same question, this is a guy, my representative kind of a thing. So they're not doing their job. So why there is a very high value for such people? Like you do see like in social media and all, some people are elevating, but their contribution is nil.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I've not been following what he's saying and or his recent work, but I don't know if he's doing anything at from a stage of policy influence. I don't know if he's doing that. He has an outfit, right? That does that advocates some policy changes and all that. I think he's been working with with respect to universal healthcare or something like that. I think some of it, but yeah, I think I have to check what he's really saying these days. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's true. I think I think maybe people do work at various levels, and obviously maybe a lot of things what he's saying is may not be really helping at public dialogue level. But and I've been seeing actually a lot of criticism that people are criticizing him these days for especially I think for his tacit or even open support for many things that the union government is doing, especially not criticizing on the cultural front, on the cultural agenda front that they're taking up.
Yeah,
Um,
Purna garu, Purna, yeah, garu, he just put a right message saying that he says that he's agnostic, and then and he shares a stage with Sadhguru.
Sadhguru. I don't know how Jaggi was the manages to get onto these stage. I mean, I think it's his own outfit in which I think he talked, right? Jay Prakash Narayan and Jaggi was the had a dialogue. Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, that was before I think 2014, before all this. I think he was still part of Lok Sabha. He was an MLA, I think, when he talked to Jaggi was. It was a video from long back. I think. Yeah, that was an
Yeah.
interesting talk. Yeah, I felt. Well, obviously, Jaggi was cutting all the questions. I mean, I think in that video, if I remember correctly, JP was trying to ask him about how you would look at individual responsibility versus societal good, and then Jaggi was there would talk about. I think I remember he talking about how he got a permit in the United States or somewhere to build something, and then they would do an inspection at the end. Whereas here, it's yeah, it was all non sequitur. I mean, yeah, you know how Jaggi was the talks, right? I mean, he says a lot of words, but they don't really relate to the question there.
Yeah, right. I do see one thing, and really, I want to frankly share with you that the language English is an advantage on the broad, like a national platform or something, that people fall for it if you're fluently speaking in English. If you're not answering anything related to the question, and then you're using a lot of word salad and throwing the words at them, and the people either get confused or maybe they just don't ask any questions or they shut their mouth because people have to repeat the same question again. Sorry, you didn't answer my question. Instead of saying that, he just happily walk away and he creates a shot out of that, and it gets millions of views.
He's banking on others, being out of time. So
Yeah, that is true.
so thank you, Govinda. I think let's just I think you can ask any questions. I think anyone
You can take someone else, and if you have anyone in the studio.
Yeah, so what we'll do now is I'll just leave. I mean, you can be in the stage, and I'll talk about some of the points I think related to the topic that people have brought up, callers have brought up till now. So I think the first question I think a lot of people brought up was the question of identifying beneficiaries properly. Now here's the thing. I think what kind of beneficiaries you want really depends. I mean, it goes without saying that that depends on that kind of welfare activity that you want to do. Now, when it comes to public transportation, so public transportation, when it comes to that, usually in the last, I think, many countries in the last 40 years or 50 years, even in India, much of effort, operational costs of implementing a welfare scheme has been devoted to identifying the beneficiaries and making sure people who are getting benefited out of them, they deserve it, and then they fit with the criteria that was defined by them as part of beneficiary criteria. So there is a lot of weeding out that was being done. A lot of operational costs was devoted to that. Now there is a problem with that. I mean, that sounds fair. I mean, that activity, when you approach it from the argument of fairness, it goes. I mean, everyone, I think, thinks and agrees that people who should not be getting the benefit, who don't deserve the benefit, should not be getting it. Now, but what people have lately realized is that when you look at how costs are there, see the way how government does things is that it takes money, right? It takes, like, say, it takes like $100 as tax money, and it needs to spend some money from it to spend some of that. So because it has to pay, it has to hire staff, it has to pay salaries, it has all these revenue expenditures, just to take money from tax, takes the tax money and then spend the tax money for public welfare. So because of this, there is great propensity from a fiscal conservative standpoint that you should keep the operational costs down. And one way of keeping that down is to use technology. But it's not like you can use technology for everything. So for example, you don't really, when it comes to public transportation, you don't really want your PAN card or Aadhaar card to be linked with the bus pass that you are going to have, because these two are totally different things. And you would think that all your digital identity details would be safe only with certain agencies, but may not be with with a bus, with an agency that runs bus transportation, because they are not like you can't have like cybersecurity from them. So any information that you share in that way, so unnecessary information, unwanted information, just to roll out, just to identify the beneficiary of a welfare scheme, and which is like a public transportation free ride, that may not really be warranted. That may be trying to, that may be trying to use like a weapon that is too strong for that to be achieved. So overall, the approach of many countries, at least when it comes to public transportation, is something like this. You would reduce the operational costs in identifying beneficiaries, which means mostly the public transportation, any free public transportation would be free for all, rather than free for some people. And I think the easiest way to implement would be the best way to implement in these matters, because any penny, every money, every additional rupee or every additional penny that the government has to spend on this scheme has to come from its budget. So it's better to keep the operational costs down if they are willing to do this. Now, I think when it comes to numbers, right? So if you look at Delhi Metro has been doing this, I think, for the last 4 years or so, at least. So if you look at the numbers there, significant chunk of revenue for Delhi Metro is not really from the ticket fares. I think it's about 40% or 45%. It is indeed close to 50%, like about half of the revenue, of the money that of the revenue that Delhi Metro makes. It's from ticket fares. Now, when they calculated, when they actually did an assessment of the revenue that's lost when they gave free rides to women, I think it came around. I think it came about like like what, 20 or 30% of that, which actually comes to like between 2 to 3% of the annual spending from Delhi government. So how these models work is that whatever the chunk of revenue that is lost by the metro agency or the transit agency that's running this transit, that's actually compensated by the state government, because state government is the one that has to bankroll this. So even in case of RTC, whatever, I think they are like estimating a loss of something like what, 3,000 crores or 4,000 crores of loss of revenue or something like that. If that were the case, whatever the loss is there, the Telangana government, state government would give it to RTC. Now RTC is owned by Telangana government, so the problem with that is that there won't be any check and balance here. So usually in countries where public transport, see, look, public transportation is always subsidized in any place you take, maybe except for few places which I don't know, but I would be interested to know. They are usually not run for profit, and it doesn't mean that they are owned by state government. There is a class of people, from who are into economic ideologies, who think that for a public transportation agency to operate, it has to be owned by government. There is no such thing like that. In many places it's actually owned by private corporations. But how the work is that the government actually negotiates with them in fixing prices. So you can't they can't simply keep increasing prices. And so what happens is every year they do this budgeting where they would assess the operating costs, and based on that the government gives some money to them to compensate for any loss, or they have those metrics with them. And the advantage of government not owning this public transit is that it actually keeps some sort of fiscal prudence in check between these two agencies. Now if government owns RTC, and whatever loss that RTC reports, I think that would be written off by the government, that would be given by the government. And it's not like RTC has an incentive to reduce the operating costs just because they're losing revenue now. So I think that is the biggest problem here I see in terms of lack of oversight. When the government owns the agency that's giving public transportation, then pretty much you just take money from your left pocket and just you put money in your right pocket. That is, I think, where the pitfall is going. That is where the problem is going to be. I think with Delhi Metro, at least we have the numbers. So I think we can see it may not be such a huge burden on state government as long as it tries to compensate for the cost somewhere else. But obviously, when it comes to other kind of pensions, other kind of freebies, quote unquote freebies, or the welfare activities like the basic income, the pension that they're giving and so on, I think that would actually pose a greater burden on the annual budget, because that actually takes up a lot of chunk of the revenue there. And obviously, not everyone who gets pension gets to use a bus, and not everyone who gets to even who travels in a bus, even those take pension, they may not really. Government may not really need to spend like 2,000 or 2,500 bucks per capita on each passenger, for the sake of for just compensating the loss of revenue for this free bus ride scheme. So I think those schemes are the ones that would hit or that would take up that would be significant on the significant burden on the taxpayer, on the exchequer. So I think we should I think separate these two things in some sense. And there is an argument that when it comes to giving free public transportation, actually there are many cities actually in fact in Europe and in some countries where the public transportation is free for everyone. And if it is not free, a lot of it is really subsidized. So and it doesn't matter what the domicile of this person is as well. So for example, wherever you go in foreign countries, in Europe, if you go anywhere, and you would pay the same fare, right? Even for Delhi Metro, you would pay the same fare. This is the same subsidized fare, even if you are a tourist. So I think when it comes to that, when you start identifying beneficiaries, that just adds operational cost. And instead of that, when there are like a lot of people, when there are a lot of applicants, and you got to filter beneficiaries from a large pool of people, the operational costs, they scale up really fast. And then giving a blanket subsidy for everyone would be actually more cost effective. So that depends on how many people are using it and what are the numbers there. And that's really an empirical question rather than an ideological question or a question of fairness. So that's how the decisions are made when it comes to when it comes to when it comes to identifying beneficiaries. It's like this, you order stuff from Amazon and you want to return them. Sometimes Amazon doesn't want to take the product back. They'll just refund it, because they think that shipping charges and the costs of handling that product during the return, they are not worthy to spend, even though they get a product back. So you get to use the product and you get to keep the money. So that's how this works. It's the same logic, and it's the same way of the same numbers. Numbers work in the same way when it comes to adding operational costs, paying workers to identify beneficiaries versus just giving blanket subsidy or making everything blanket free and just paying the the transit company for whatever revenue loss that they have. It might be easier to implement. So I think that's from I think identifying beneficiaries should be looked at that point of view. I think it's more pragmatic to look from that point of view, because that's how everyone is doing it. So that's about identifying beneficiaries. And we also have a couple of questions here. So Raghu is saying, I would like to talk a bit about nature of capitalism and how we can help the fallen behind. I think that's a good topic. I think we'll take it up. I think in a later episode where I think we will have an expanded discussion on that. That would be really nice to have. And Purna is asking, isn't capitalism without welfare actually social Darwinism? Well, you see, I mean, that's true, but let's see this. I mean, the words capitalism and socialism, they're used in very different way now, opposed to how they were used like 150 years ago. So I think most socialists today who call them socialists, they may not really advocate public ownership of goods and services. I mean, and most capitalist countries or most capitalists today, they may not say welfare is bad. I mean, there might be some libertarians in somewhere in the United States or somewhere who might be saying the board of education should be dissolved and such. But I think most people who understand these issues have any rudimentary understanding of these issues, and most voters also don't agree that. So today, if you look at it, I mean, any capitalist, quote unquote, capitalist countries are more of mixed economies. Yeah, I mean, they're somewhere between social democracy and some sort of economic right, a bit of that, if you want to put them between two buckets there. So yeah, I think every major every developed country today, they do have welfare, because they know that you can't allocate goods and services just by leaving everything to markets, and saying that governments can't intervene in any form or shape. You do have governments framing rules, or at least giving information disclosures, or framing laws that help customers to make their own choices in terms of disclosing information. So government has a role to play, and they have to enforce law, they have to enforce contracts, right? That's very crucial even in a free market, even in a free enterprise system. So government has a role to play, and welfare is part of it. So I think that's really a good topic. I think we can talk about that in later podcast too. And Purna is adding that as per Noam Chomsky, we only have government-sponsored capitalism. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but yeah, maybe it's true to some extent. All right, I think so. Govind garu, do you have any closing comments? I think we have been doing the live for like more than an hour. I think we can close today's live session, and then I think we can join next week too. So any closing comments from you?
Yeah, sure. One comment that when you bring these topics where you are posting that, how people know that is that the Telegram is the only way, or like joining to subscribing to this one. When are you going to announce it for the only YouTube users? Like.
Sure. So I'll be posting on the YouTube channel. It's Hetuvadi 2.0. It's at the rate Hetuvadi 2.0. That's the YouTube channel, and I will also be posting on Twitter, which the handle is Hetuvadi2_O. They don't allow dots in Twitter feeds. Okay, so yeah, and as you said, we do have a Telegram broadcast channel where I would be announcing the topics, and there is also a chat group where subscribers can actually suggest topics. So even in YouTube social in the YouTube channels, I think even in there I would be asking for topics, and then I would be posting the topic details, and yeah, that's where right now that's where we are going to talk. And we also have a Facebook page, Hetuvadi 2.0, which 2.0. It's where people can subscribe and like and follow the page and like the page, so that even there they can actually post their comments, or they can message the page which comes to me on the topics that they would like to talk about, or they would like to see in this podcast.
Sure. And not in a fully how this platform is organized, I want to understand that is it if someone wants to present their argument, like if they're not agreeing with you, are they welcome to this channel, so that if I come across any discussion, I can quote you saying that, hey, it was the 2.0 Sunday, so that you can present your argument. Then do you entertain such kind of things, or you're only entertaining question and answers?
Definitely, I can do that too. I mean, this is more like a discussion channel, so I won't do it in a debate format, because, for example, I think many of the callers, who joined today, I personally agree with many of those points that they say, but I don't really agree with some of the points that they said too. but I did not confront them or something like that, right? I mean, so it's not like that. It's more like a discussion platform where we'll be talking, and of course someone can present an argument, definitely. And yeah, it won't be confrontational. It won't be like a debate style. So it would rather I would rather prefer if they approach it from a learning standpoint, and I would approach it from a learning standpoint, in the sense that learning not as in the fake learning or poster learning, but it would be better if they stick to the argument, and then we can talk about it. That would be
Sure.
good.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Andy. So this is a very successful, the first episode itself, you got a lot of good traction. And next time onwards, what we're going to do is we'll announce this one in both the channels. Talk Rationally, Shartigar, I really appreciate your contribution in Talk Rationally live shows also. And we do have some questions from other Indian humanist channels. So we did not answer them. And another thing, you want to actively look for comments, and then I will collect all the questions and I'll present it to you, and I will see what is the right platform, whether Talk Rationally or Hetwadi 2.0. So if something is required, like a more elaborate answer, so I will give it to you here, so that you can talk about that particular question and giving answer to them. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Definitely, Govindaru. Thank you very much for your support. And yeah, definitely, I think we can collect the topics. I think we can figure out the topics in that way. Definitely.
Sure, you can end this
So,
one.
so right now I'm removing you from the studio, and I'll just conclude the show.
Sure,
Today's
thank you.
podcast. Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining today's live session, live broadcast, and more importantly, participating in the discussion and sharing your opinions and the thoughts about the things, and asking questions in the comment section, and as well as in person. Thank you very much for your time. And next week we'll meet at the same time. And do suggest topics. Join the Telegram broadcast channel where you can also start chat topics, discussion topics there, where you can do that. And yeah, and one more important thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about general life stuff too, and all sorts of interesting topics in addition to social issues, or the topics that are related to that are at large as a collective. So I might be talking about my own interests, and I would be talking also about films. If you're watching something this week, or if you're reading something, do feel free to share that in the live broadcast, so that that would become an interesting discussion. So you can do that too, and I would be doing that occasionally now and then as well. So this platform, this podcast, is going to be about life and the decisions that we make, and how we can make them better, and using reason and evidence and critical thinking and rationality in doing that. Thank you for your time, everyone, and have a nice rest of the day, and let's meet next week.